my background in sales, having negotiated with influencers for multiple years, I can tell you, I have not had a single person ever come to me with this kind of background knowledge of their product. All right. I'm a small influencer. How do I price myself? Okay, well, first question you have to ask is, what can you sell? So, what have you sold? Let's say that on an average stream, you can do a CTA and get 5 sales of a t-shirt worth $20. Okay, well, now you know that you can do 5x 20 equals $100 a day in revenue for a brand, okay? But then there's also an earned media cost. So an earned media cost is basically what your exposure does. And I would rate this on a couple of factors. This is always subjective, okay? So always subjective. There's no clear market value on this. But you can use these guidelines. Guild lines. Such things such as how relevant is my demographic to what we're selling? So age, gender, area, location, race, right? That's like one thing I would consider. And then how long are people engaging? Okay. So a very good way to do this is, so we're going to talk about actual brand power. That would be number 1. And earned media power. That'd be number 2. So this actual brand power is really easy. You can track this via affiliate links. I also encourage everyone, even if you're a small creator, try to get some data on this. It's very easy. All you have to do is sell something. A really good way to do it is Amazon affiliates. If you want some data on this for free, just set up Amazon affiliates. Anyone can do it. And you get a good idea of what you personally can sell in many different products. So like I think, do we have like an Amazon affiliates thing? Do I have it? Yeah. So if you click that link right there, basically you click that link and then for 24 hours, anything you buy on Amazon will support me. More people need to know about that link, but anybody can set this up. It's super easy. And that'll give you a lot of really relevant data. Like that'll give you like data on like, well, can I actually sell products through my stream? Will people actually use this? And you can say, hey, I'm actually an Amazon affiliate. I got 100 sales last month, and that's how many sales I pushed through not even doing a very active CTA. So this is a very good way to get actual hard data if you're a small influencer. On like things that you could actually sell. Basically, like it's going to give you a case study and a track record of how you can sell things. Does that make sense? So that's number 1, I think. So then for earned media power, back to this, there's no clear market value, but we can ask ourselves a couple of things. So how relevant is my demographic to what we're selling? If it's extremely relevant, you can put a premium on that, right? How long are people engaging? So for Twitch streams, I would look at things like minutes watched per unique viewer. And then you can say, okay, so based on this question is how often am I showing an ad? So let's say that I know people watch my stream for 60 minutes on average, and I'm going to show an ad 6 times every 10 minutes. So average person sees an ad 6 times equals 6 impressions per viewer. Okay. So now I know that I can tell the sponsor this information, and I can put a price on each impression per viewer, right? And I can use I would use YouTube CPMs as a guideline here, which are generally $8 to $15. Okay. But how do I get my minutes watched per unique viewer? Minutes watched per unique viewer is just hours watched divided by unique viewers. times 60. Yeah, easy. That's how long someone on average watches your stream. Okay, so that's to figure that out. That'll give you the exact actual minutes watched per unique viewer that you have. Okay. And then any other relevant things that you can think of that may give you a premium, like anything else for a premium. And I would say this could be something like you have a unique affiliation with this product or service. You believe your CTRs and sales will be higher. You have a contract, like AKA you're committed for 3 to 6 months. So that locks you into a category. So for example, if you get a mouse contract, like, okay, you're going to sell mice for Logitech, and Logitech wants you to do that for 3 months. They're locking that category for you for 3 months, and you can't sell other mice for 3 months. So that means if Corsair comes in with a better deal next month, you won't be able to take that deal for 2 months. So that should have a price attached to it, right? You should have some kind of price attached to that exclusivity. Now, again, this is very highly subjective. The only way that you can really get good data on this is you have to ask an agency sort of person. Like someone like me can look at this and evaluate it based on current market trends and your personal brand. But you're going to have to do this on your own because I'm not going to do that. If whoever's watching this, I'm not going to do that. That's a lot of work. But you can figure out it based on the information that I'm giving you. So when you take your actual brand power and you multiply that or add that to your earned media power, you should come up with a number. And so for smaller creators, this is going to be, for someone that has 50 to 100 average viewers, you can run these numbers. If you get a few sales a day, maybe a couple $100 sponsorship to start is fine. For negotiation purposes, I would always shoot as high as you possibly can. So, like, if you think that you can get most people are going to under ask. That's what most people will do. So, most agencies rely on and most advertisers rely on streamers not knowing what they're worth and YouTubers not knowing what they're worth. So they're going to under ask for the deal. And what'll happen is they'll say, oh, like, yeah, I'll take like a couple $100 or whatever, or even like a creator that has like 50K to 100K subscribers, they'll be like, oh, I'll take $1,000 because 1,000 sounds like a lot of money to them. And then the advertiser will say something like this. They'll be like, oh, let me think about that. Yeah, I guess we could make that work. I guess that kind of sounds good. Sure. Yeah, we'll do that. Right. In their head, what they're actually doing is like, da 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 da. We just ripped this guy off and he doesn't even know. Now we stole all the stuff and it's totally for free. And that's what's going on in their head, because I've had that where I'm sitting somewhere and someone goes, and I go, and then I have this like, there's this like, be aware that I'm on this other side of this negotiation table. That's exactly how this goes. Is like, I will be sitting there and I'll be like, oh, so what's your budget? Like, what would you expect for any kind of like returns? And then someone goes, oh, well, I was thinking like some huge content creator that gets like 10,000 concurrent viewers is like, oh, I was thinking like $5,000 or like maybe like 5K. And I'm like, and here's what I'll do. Okay. Like in my head, I'll be like, immediately I go into the sunken place. So my poker face is like, and I'm like, okay, I think we can make this work. That's a little bit higher. It's coming in a little bit higher than I assumed it would. But I think that you're a good content creator. I think that you can do good work, and we'll try it out, and we'll see what happens, okay? Now, that's the message. Whenever you see an advertiser do that, you just got screwed. Because in my head, I'm like, whoa, okay, and so, so most people are going to 100% under ask, okay? So what I would do is I would do all the math around this tactically, and then I would probably like come close to doubling the number, right? And one thing that's like worth noting too, like if at all possible, you should be getting data from as many people as you can. And I think it would surprise you, like Let me give like sort of an objective example, okay? Because we'll just use my broadcast for example. I don't take sponsorships for this broadcast. I do get offered them a lot. I don't just typically do it. I do shout out a website quite often called toddholland.com. I'm not sponsored by these guys, but people see me drinking green tea every day and they ask me where I get it from. So I found these guys. They're a little shop in Chicago. It's run by a little old lady and her husband. Her husband travels the world getting fancy green teas and bringing them back on auction from China and Japan. And she does the teas. I can't even tell you how many people have bought teas from this website without me actively saying it, right? Like, if I were to enter into a sponsorship agreement with them, I could comfortably ask for probably like $1,000 a month, maybe even a little bit more, because I could probably prove it out and the sales that I'm going to get them if I'm going to do actual calls to action. And I think, see, even I'm doing it. I'm probably lowballing myself. Like probably $2-3K a month wouldn't be unreasonable for the sponsorship because the earned media power, and that's what the stream of like, I don't know, 450 to 500 concurrent viewers as of the time of this talk. So like going like a lot of people, I think with that level of viewership would think, well, this is something that feels very high, right? Like 2 to 3K. But when you think about it, it checks all the boxes here, right? It's a brand that's highly endemic to what I do because I literally do it every day. I literally drink green tea every day, and I don't normally always talk about it, but it's something that I strongly believe in for its health benefits and for what it does. And it's a store that I genuinely like and identify with. So this is one, I think, takeaway from this talk that we could have, which is if you are a small influencer, you should really be looking for things that you don't like just chase the money. This is gonna sound like really cliche and like really like well, obviously like blah, but seriously, like there are gonna be opportunities to make money. You really should focus on creating great content for a long time before you even consider making a lot of money off of it. But on the chance that you really do get a situation where you're like, whoa, I really believe in this product and I really identify with it, in that case, you should be like, yeah, this could be a fit. I think the best way you're going to get that data is if you go to a brand and say, look, this is the amount of actual brand power I have, but I haven't actively pushed something. And then like there's also another concept that this is also really important too. And it's called deliverables, okay? So deliverables are literally the expectation of the contract, which means like or another way to say this is what can we expect from both sides? So from a sponsor side, right, they'll give you money, right? Also, they might give you assets to advertise with. Also, they might tweet you, because usually sponsors have like big followings. So someone like Coursera might give you a certain number of tweets or a certain shout outs or appearance fees or there's all kinds of things, right? And then you have to consider what you bring on the influencer side, right? So you bring your social media following, you bring calls to action, maybe you bring like a custom YouTube video, right? So a very smart person that's doing this, what they'll do is they'll stack up things like a Chinese menu on the influencer side. And they'll say, okay, look, my base brand power is going to be $100 a day. So per month, that gives me, if I can make $100 a day per month, that's going to give me about $3,000 a month, right? 100 times 30. Okay, but if you want, I'll also make you a custom YouTube video. Now that price has a premium based on its earned power. I'll do calls to action based on this. I'll do social media posts based on this, right? And you can choose these options, and these will be deliverables in the contract. And when somebody actually negotiates, so let me just give you my background in sales, having negotiated with influencers for multiple years. I can tell you, I have not had a single person ever come to me with this kind of background knowledge of their product or even close and their service. If you know this stuff, advertisers are going to tell you everything. They're gonna literally refer you to every one of their friends. They're gonna be like, look, this guy actually knows what he's talking about. The number of people that I have to deal with that have no idea what they're worth and no idea even how to structure these things, and we have to do every single part of it. Every single like marketer, advertiser is nodding their heads right now. Every agency person watching this is nodding their heads right now. They're like, oh my God, it is such a pain to deal with people because they don't understand these things. So I like it's really important that you sort of build a vision of your sort of individual brand and like what it's worth, right? And you could do this by basically building what's called a rate card. So a rate card is a basically just a list of services that you do. And the value of each of those services. So for me, it might be like consulting, like $500. Then I might do like CTA of a product. I might put a price of like, and again, like I'd have to run the numbers, but maybe I just decide it's like $50 per CTA, right? Appearance fee, right? So what's it going to cost to get me somewhere for a whole day, right? That'd be somewhere close to like maybe like $4,000, $5,000 plus travel, right? How like it might even be like higher than that now. Like again, I'm using some old numbers. That might be like, and you should understand these things, right? And they should be priced based on again like what you can push, your earned media power, and also what people will have paid you, right? For that value. So like for someone like me, my actual brand power on products that are things that I believe in is strong, but it's not XQC, it's not Soda Poppin', it's not Dr. Disrespect, right? Like talking about. One of the best examples of actual brand power on Twitch is Dr. Disrespect advertising G Fuel. Like the way that he implements that into his actual branding, and like that's like the actual brand power behind that is insane. That's worth hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars. Gillette is another one, right? Like that's another one that he does. That's really powerful. So I don't have that kind of power, but I have a lot of earned media power, and that like my appearance somewhere has a certain. Remember, I was talking to you guys about anything else you can do for a premium. One of the things that I provide a lot of value in is expertise, right? If I appear somewhere, I know what I'm talking about, and I can impact everybody at a very high level as long as I'm in my lane. Like obviously, if you invite me out to like a political conference, I have no idea what I'm talking about. But if you invite me out to like a business conference or an esports conference, I'm going to provide a lot of value to everyone there. And there's all kinds of things that can be quantified in that transaction, right? It could be like networking, right? So like another like really interesting thing is like, do you have contacts? Can you connect people together? These are things that have value, right? These are all things that have value. So you should design yourself a rate card. And again, like, don't be afraid of like getting these numbers exact. Because I can give you a basis for how you should compute these numbers, and I think this talk has done a good job of that. But you have to be conscious that all of this is very subjective, and it's subjective to the tune of millions of dollars at high levels. Like at very high levels, like I've literally watched multi-million-dollar deals be signed, like right in front of me. I've watched multi-million-dollar deals be signed on like what two people kind of think it could be worth. So it's like, yeah, that sounds like a deal that would be worth like, I think the largest deal I ever saw that happen to was a $12 million deal for 4 years. At $12 million per year for 4 years for advertisement on a stadium. I saw that happen. And it was completely subjective. There was no like, this is how many people see it. There wasn't even like, this is how many people go to our stadium, like data that's readily available, right? Because something like that is like very hard to ascertain. The cool thing about digital media, the cool thing about digital advertising is that we understand, or we should understand if we're due diligent about our processes, we understand exactly how these things work, right? Like an affiliate link literally tracks your sales. Like, whereas if you have like an ad for Lexus in a stadium, how many people see that and decide to buy a Lexus? It's impossible to quantify. There's no way you can do that. But for digital advertising, you can 100% figure out exactly what you're worth. And everybody should be, I think every small content creator can try something on something like Amazon affiliates, and they can start selling stuff to get an idea of what their brand power might actually be worth, right? So this is probably how I would start to think about this. I'm sure I'm leaving some stuff out. But I think this will give you a good idea of like how you can start, like at least like if all you do and all you take away from this is like you want to build a rate card of like possible products and services, and then you just occasionally add to it, right? Like start your rate card off with like 5 to 10 things that you think you can do that can provide value. You might think of them like a month later, 2 months later. I don't know if a lot of people do this, but I do documentation on everything that I do. So if you need consulting, I have a doc for that, right? And if you want me to be a public speaker, I have a doc for that too. So like here's so if you want to like contact me for something, here's my page about that. So here's the subjects I speak about within the gaming industry. Here's the roles I have, and if you want a rate card, that's individually available too. I can send that, right? So the point is like I have all this stuff understood for me as an influencer, and I'm not even an influencer. I'm not. This is like a second. This is my side hustle, right? This is like a thing that I do. Like if people want to. Lots of universities and stuff like that have contacted me, and on LinkedIn, you'll see that on LinkedIn I have like access to like how to contact me, and also like all of my featured speaking engagements and things like that. So like where I provide value and what I talk about. So you'll want to list this stuff everywhere you can about like what your expertises are, and I think it's really important because it's very important to me that people don't hire me for things I don't know about. So if it's not on this list, I probably am not going to do a good job talking about it. And I've turned down a lot of business and a lot of money from people that are like, "Hey, can you come talk about X, Y, and Z?" Because if I don't have that information, then and I can't provide value, then I'm not going to do it. So small influencers can make money off of their products and services. And if you are, even if you have like, there's a concept I'll end with, right? And this is a concept that a lot of people have heard me talk about a lot. It's called 1,000 True Fans, right? And I think this is the most important article for small broadcasters or small influencers of any kind to read. I think understanding this concept, which is essentially that if you have just 1,000 people that are paying you $100 a year on average, right? You're making $100,000. So the idea that you need to be this person who has like 1 million followers to make a lot of money, or that you need, or even have like 10,000 followers or 50,000 or 100,000 or whatever, that's a misnomer. You don't really need to do that. So as a small influencer, even if you have really 100 dedicated people in your community that regularly see you, you can monetize that for a very good income. And you can do it by linking them to products and services that they will be happy to consume because you reference them to them, which is one of the reasons why I'm a very strong proponent of only advertising and sponsoring and things that you really believe in. So like if you don't like some mobile game and they're offering you a lot of money, don't do it because you're lowering your brand integrity by doing that, in my opinion, right? It's controversial. Some people disagree with this, whatever. My opinion is that if I'm going to recommend you green tea, right, that I love every day, I genuinely think that if I was sponsored by that company that I used the example of earlier, right, that in the long term, that's valuable to you because you're like, wow, Devin Nash really hypes up products that he really believes in, and this product made me better in some way. Your people, don't be nervous to take sponsorships even early, right, or to ask people about them. Because if you do that and you really believe in it, you will do the people that are listening to you a favor. I have bought so many cool products based on recommendations from influencers that I care about, like Tim Ferriss or Joe Rogan or people like that. I buy a lot of products from them that are just like, hey, this is like a really cool app or this is a really cool thing because I know that they only sponsor products that they really believe in. Like a big one that Joe does or Tim Ferriss does is Four Sigmatic, the coffee with the mushrooms in it. And like they have like reishi mushrooms and they have like lion's mane and stuff. And it's like really good coffee. Like I've had that. I've bought it because they recommended it. My life was better because of it. So I think a lot of you might be afraid as a small influencer to go out there and ask people. And then I guess like the one thing that I left out is like, well, how do I do this? This is a whole separate talk, but the very short of it is you need to do what I call hand-to-hand combat, which is like you need to actually go into DMs of sponsors, go to people that traditionally take care of small influencers on Twitch. Madrinas is a great example, like a coffee brand. They have good programs for small broadcasters on Twitch. Do your research, and then just go DM them. Hey, I'm a small content creator, get about 150 people, but I really believe in this product. I would love to do it. Here's my rate card. Here's some of the information I have, right? You'd be surprised that so few people do this work that you're almost guaranteed a response when you come off that professional. Because for the most part, advertisers and marketers, we are having to obsessively reach out to influencers, and nobody minds micro-influencers. this perception is like, oh, I don't want to advertise with you because you're too small. That might like be the case with like Coke or something, but even them or whatever, like if you give them an easy path to doing it, you'd be surprised what you can get. So TLDR, I think, understand your actual brand power, understand your earned media power, understand how to calculate those things, which hopefully we did a good job of doing, and then set your rate cards and deliverables. So that is a highly tactical idea of how a small influencer can price themselves or understand their value and how you understand your value as a person in general for anybody that's doing anything, even if you're building a brand or not. Okay.